White folks, if you do not know who IbrahimTraore is, you need to look it up. If you don't know the history of Burkina Faso and their leadership, you need to look it up. And look up, while you're at it, other leaders in Africa. Look up the South African leader and how they're speaking. Look up the leaders of Niger and how they're speaking. Look up what's happening in Africa, because it is our own salvation that is in the hands of, or needs to be in the hands of, African leadership, and they're standing up, and we should support that. Let me tell you why. See, our culture is a death-based culture. Our culture has been trying to rule and dominate and control resources that exist in Africa, resources that we need in these northern regions. And so rather than just be a part of humanity and ask for these resources, we have done everything to manipulate and to lie and to cheat and to steal and to harm and to create weaponize and wars in Africa, amongst Africans, and do whatever we can to distract and extract and exploit African resources. But the greatest African resource is the humans that live there. And they have a level of humanity that is not in white culture. I speak about it constantly in Race for What. We don't understand that our systems are designed without love in mind, and African leadership and African people have a sense of love that we don't understand how to tap into. It's not that we're not capable of learning it, though. We can. We need to understand this transitional period where the colonial empires are being recognized for how wicked we are, even though they're so far advanced in this game. Yet all of the advancements in technology, all of the advancements in life and understanding and our connection right now that we have on this planet and have access to, if put in the right hands, can actually heal the planet. And therefore, our responsibility as those who have been weaponized is to support what is happening in Burkina Faso.
Grand rising kings and queens from Africa and across the ocean. Peace and power to my beautiful people watching this video right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, today commentary, it's titled, They Never Imagined Something Like This Will Happen. And Traore shocked the white supremacy. Now, it's very evident that the white system is shaken with what is going on in Africa. It's very evident that the white powers are shaken with what's going on in Kenya, what's going on in Ghana, in Burkina Faso, and what's going on in Sahel state. And let me tell you something straight. White supremacy has always operated off one key principle, and that is control. They control over land. They control the minds, they control over narratives, and control over black identity. But what happens when one man rises unapologetically, and this man is African, and this man is bold, and throws the wrench into the entire system? That man is Captain IbrahimTraore. And that's what we are going to talk about in this video. But before I continue, I want you to watch this clip first and then we go on.
Every oppressed people around the world can now look to Burkina Faso and to IbrahimTraore and say liberation looks like it's actually possible. Burkina Faso isn't just a battleground today for the Burkinabe people. It's the front line in a global struggle for liberation. What IbrahimTraore is doing is echoing in the Sahel, in Niger, in Mali, across Africa, across the Ummah, across the global south, and across the world. IbrahimTraore led a coup against a government that was subservient to its foreign masters. You know, there's been many, many coups across the continent. But usually those just replaced one neo-colonial agent with another, usually. But Ibrahim Traore is different. He's not just changing the government. He is uprooting the whole system of neo-colonial domination. And he's succeeding. He's understood what many people have failed to grasp, which is that independence is meaningless if you don't sever the control of the owners and controllers of global financialized capital. He's understood that security is a myth as long as it depends on the military patronage of your former colonizers. And he's understood that sovereignty is impossible under the shadow of Western tutelage. He's not merely a head of state. Ibrahim Traore is the revolutionary archetype of the 21st century. He was forged in the reality of Western-backed insurgency and Western economic warfare and propaganda. Because, you know, today the fight for freedom is not just waged by armies anymore, but by narratives and by resource policies and by alliances and by collective sovereignty. Traore has made the choice to look towards Russia and Turkey and towards other new centers of power in the multipolar world. That's strategic, not because they're perfect allies, but because he recognizes the necessity of breaking the Western stranglehold on Burkina Faso. This is pragmatism in service to principle. This, again, is the methodology of Middle Nation. It's engagement without submission, cooperation without subjugation. It's trade-offs without selling out. He also understands, crucially, that Africa's liberation cannot be rented from outside. It has to be rooted in the reclamation of Africa's own wealth. You know, his moves to exert control over Burkina Faso's gold, building indigenous defense capacity and food sovereignty, these aren't just political decisions. These are acts of civilizational self-respect. It's a declaration that Africa's children will no longer be bled dry for the enrichment of Western imperial capital. So now America has said that they want to arrest him. You know, they've already tried to take him out more than once, like I said. Now they're trying to smear him. They're trying to attack him. They sent the head of AFRICOM to the Ivory Coast a couple of days ago, which is a neighbor of Burkina Faso and which is known to have, allegedly anyway, participated in the killing of Thomas Sankara. Allegedly, they participated in the coups or helped to organize the coups against, coup attempts against Ibrahim Traore. And the Western sycophantic leader that was overthrown by Ibrahim Traore is in exile in the Ivory Coast right now. So they're getting ready for something. Understand, Ibrahim Traore isn't simply a political figure. He's a turning point.
So I'm going to say this right quick, as nice as I can. I'm going to say this to the haters of the Sahel region. The haters, the jealousy, the ones that they cannot, everything that Ibrahim Traore have done, they cannot do it because they don't have no balls to do it. The ones that wear pants, they call themselves men, and yet they are women. Even some women say better than them. I'm talking about the so-called democracy presidents. The ones that have been in power for 20 years, 10 years, 40 years, they cannot tie one road. All of the haters of Ibrahim Traore, get this onto your head. Ibrahim Traore will not step down for nobody. We, the continent, the citizens of the continent have put Ibrahim Traore where he is. And nobody will remove him. Anybody trying rubbish about Ibrahim Traore or the president of Mali, Assimi Goïta, and the president of Guinea, president of Niger. Anyone messing around with the Sahel region, hey, you wouldn't have to go through all of us. You will go through all of us. We will fight to protect the Sahel presidents. We will fight to protect them. We will fight. We will do anything to protect them. And you guys, if anything happened to any of those presidents, one strand of hair removed from their head, there will be no Africa, because we will burn it down. And those of you that have laundered our money to go and buy houses in abroad, thinking that when you commit crime in Africa that you will run to your abroad, we will look for you and we will find you and your entire family. Africans that you are dealing with right now. I don't think you guys know the Africans that you are dealing with right now. I will advise you guys to sit down and study the Africans that you are dealing with right now. Because we have heard these stories before. Gaddafi, right? Let's talk about Libya. You all said the same story about Gaddafi. Gaddafi have healthcare, free healthcare for his people. Free education for his people. Free housing for his people. But yes, your so-called useless ECOWAS, African Union, stand by. They fold their hands and let them take Gaddafi down. You're trying to do the same thing in the Sahel region? Hey, you will kill us all. Whoever trying to do anything bad to IbrahimTraore or any of the president of the Sahel region, be ready to kill us all. Be ready to kill us all. Be ready to kill us all. Because this is a war. Because we will protect IbrahimTraore with our lives. We will fight beside him. We are supporting him 200%. And if I advise you, either you join him now or you get out of the way. Because we will look for you. We will look for your entire family. We will look for you. We will look for you. And we will find you.
Neocolonialism and terrorism are actually interconnected phenomena. Terrorism is merely a manifestation of neocolonialism. Remember that if you really study the history, the center of our country, you'll understand that this was actually planned. He was very well prepared in order to come and colonize us again in this new form. And here it's barbaric, it's violent, but it's connected, it's just one manifestation, that's all. So the struggle today is not just for Burkina, it's for all of Africa. The youth are awake, and it's our mission to keep raising awareness and to fight against this neocolonialism. During the revolution led by Captain Thomas Sankara, look at how our army was, for example. We were very well equipped. Do you know how many propeller cargo planes, how many jets we had? How many battle tanks? How was the army organized? We were very well equipped. Then after that, I think a certain program was imposed on our states, and we were told to let the army focus on something else. We abandoned the army's budget. We reduced the regions to 3 and so on. The equipment, there's no more maintenance, everything is dead. Here in Burkina, you can still find traces of those abandoned armored vehicles and many other things, the planes, the alarms, and the glass, you'll see.
Return the gold you took from Burkina Faso's vaults. Return the 90% of Niger's uranium profits you still collect. Return the billions in stolen reserves you hold in your banks. Return the artifacts you used to decorate your guilt. You say, but this is complicated. Now what's complicated is justifying why a former colonizer still profits from its colonies decades after independence. You say it's legally ours, then your laws are written in the language of thieves. You say it's not that simple, but it was simple when you took it. France, this is not just about money. It is about restoring spiritual balance. It is about putting fire to the illusion that you can erase a crime by calling it history. We are not chasing revenge. We are proclaiming rebirth. Africa is not rising to destroy. Africa is rising to rebuild. But no house can stand on soil where ghosts still roam free. No nation can thrive while its soul is still held hostage in the vaults of its oppressor. So choose your path. You can meet this moment with cordial return. What you stole, acknowledge what you did, and finally walk alongside Africa as equals. Or you can resist, you can stall, you can cling to illusions of empire and a world that has already moved on. But know this, whether you choose repentance or resistance, the outcome will be the same. Africa will rise with or without you, and when we do, it will not be in your image but in our own. Not with your approval, but with our ancestors' blessing. You once called us the Dark Continent, but look again. The darkness is receding, and it is your lies that are being exposed to the sun. Return what you stole, or face the reckoning that history has long promised.
Now, Captain IbrahimTraore right now, you all know him. But if you don't know Captain IbrahimTraore, he is not just a military man or another leader in a uniform or camouflage. He represents the unified or the unfiltered rage and rebirth of Africa's younger generation. He is the one that is fueling what the youths are learning or what the youths are doing back in Africa. He was born in 1988, if I'm not wrong. And he is part of a generation that watched Africa bled under fake democracy, under fake aids, under fake promises, and Western-backed puppets. Traore rose from the Burkina Faso military, a place once dominated by foreign-trained soldiers and foreign-led ideologies. But when he led a coup in 2022, removing the previous transitional government, people gasped. Not just in Burkina Faso, not just in West Africa, but deep down in Washington, in Paris, and in London. People get shocked. And the reason is because the first time in decades, a young African leader took power, not to please France, not to beg America, but to serve his people. White supremacy had no playbook for this. White supremacy had no clue for this. Our philosophy is very clear. It is very clear. Africa must no longer be the playground of foreign masters. Traore's message is simple. Africa belongs to Africans. He didn't hide behind fancy slogans or UN diplomacy. He said it raw and he said it real. And when he kicked French troops and Western military advisors out of Burkina Faso, the system began to panic. The system began to tremble. See, the colonial structure didn't just die. It just changed outfits, removing this cape and wearing the other one. It went from missionaries to NGOs, from soldiers to economic partners, from chains to loans. You are being given loans, IMF loans, World Bank loans, but deep down, they are trying to chain you. You won't do anything. You won't do anything. But Traore said enough is enough. And just like that, the string snapped. Just like that, the puppet started shaking because one soldier, Traore, stood up and refused to bow. He refused to bow. He refused to sing their songs. He refused to dance on their tunes. But not just Traore rose up, but what it sparked or what shocked again, Burkina Faso teamed up with Mali, teamed up with Niger, and these three nations who were all under heavy Western influence, they formed an alliance. And guess what? You are good in guessing. The alliance was not about invading anyone. The alliance wasn't about starting wars. It was about cutting the chain. It was about cutting the dependency. It was about refusing to be bullied. And Western leaders called it dangerous. But what's dangerous about African nations deciding to take care of themselves? What is dangerous when Africa decide to run their own business? I tell you what's dangerous. The idea that black people can govern themselves, defend themselves, educate themselves, and love themselves without white approval, that is dangerous to the system. And that is what the system is scared of. And they never thought something like this will rise again. But Traore showed them that we as Africans, we are not waiting for permission anymore. It's a reason why Western powers preferred old, tired, and compromised African leaders. The old African leaders, you know them. For example, Nigerian President Yoweri Museveni Kaguta, and these other old leaders. There's a reason why Western powers preferred these leaders. But Traore is young, educated, battle-tested, and most importantly, he is not begging to sit on anyone's table. He is not begging to sit at anyone's table. He is building his own table. He is building his own seats. And that right there is what white supremacy never expected. Because their greater fear, or their greatest fear, is not just strong black leaders. It is young, fearless, Pan-African minded black leaders. Leaders who read Marcus Garvey. Leaders who read and understand Kwame Nkrumah. Leaders who respect Sankara and carry the torch forward. And Traore is doing exactly that. They call him dangerous, not because he's violent, but because he's awakening millions of young Africans to the truth. Even black Americans are supporting him. They fear that. He is a Pan-African. Traore does exactly what the white supremacy fears a lot. That we don't need the West to validate what we are doing. That's what Traore is speaking about. We are enough as Africans. And France has long seen West Africa as its backyard for decades. It used CFA franc, a colonial currency, to maneuver and control African economies. It stationed troops in African soil under the excuse of fighting terrorism. But Traore and his allies in Mali, Niger, exposed the game. And they ask question, if French troops have been here for years, why is the terrorism always getting worse? And the answer is very obvious. It's obvious. Destabilizing was the tool. They are here pretending to protect, but they are destabilizing Africa. They are keeping Africa weak, keeping Africa begging, keep Africa distracted. But Traore flipped the table. He expelled French troops, he removed French media, he cancelled unfair military agreements. Now, white supremacy was shocked because they thought Africa was never or will never dare. But Traore have proved them right. Traore does dare. And you can't do anything. Black power is contagious. And here's what is powerful. When our black nations issues, when one black nation rises, others get inspired. Burkina Faso standard isn't isolated. It is causing a ripple effect. Young Africans from Kenya to Senegal are watching. Black Americans are watching. And it's causing a ripple effect. Okay? If they can take back their land, their narrative, their identity, what can't we? Traore is more than a president. Traore is a symbol, a living reminder that we are capable as black people. The revolution doesn't need permissions. That freedom is not a negotiation. It's a decision. And now the system is panicking. Why? Because the African lion is waking up. The system is panicking. And no amount of propaganda can put that lion back to sleep. The Western media have tried to downplay Traore. They call him a dictator. They call him undemocratic. They say that he is a threat to stability. But let me ask you, was slavery democratic? Was colonialism democratic? Was stealing African gold and oil democratic? What they fear is not dictatorship. They fear independence of black people. Right now, for once, I see Africa is creating his own destiny and not waiting for foreign aid or foreign aids. Traore is doing what the system said could never be done, leading an African nation with pride, purpose, and power without Western countries. Now, Traore's message is not just for Africans. It's for black people everywhere. He's telling us to stop begging. He's telling us to stop waiting. He's telling us to stop hoping for oppressor to save you. It is time to build. It is time to unite. It is time to return to our roots and later control our own narrative. Whether you are in Chicago, whether you are in Kingston, or in Accra, or Johannesburg, or Nairobi, the message is the same. Black liberation starts when we stop fearing the system and start believing in ourselves. And Traore is the proof that we can be given, we can protest, we can rise. To my brothers and sisters, they never imagined this moment. They never imagined young African will rise again. They never imagined we will think critically and ignore powerful and act fearlessly. But now it is too late. The wind has shifted, the fire is lit, and Traore has shocked the system beyond repair. I will say this: support Pan-African unity, support independence thought, support economic liberation. Because once one black nation beats or breaks the chain, the other follows. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section. Until next time, peace out.